What's up, y'all? This is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you could, please hit that like button and that, subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification button. Y'all see it. Stay update with all my future Teachable Tuesdays, Teachable Tuesday content videos and all that good stuff. And without further ado, we're going to get started. And I would like to welcome you to the Love Series. Now, what is the Love Series about? I talked about it if you had a chance to see my previous video, but for those who didn't, and this might be your first time watching it, or if you haven't been following me on social media for these past couple of years, the Love Series is a series that I always do in February, with the exception of last year, because there was a lot going on last year, where I talk about, relationship stuff, what is a single life being like for those who are single, the advantages of being in a relationship versus being single, and vice versa, the advantages of being single versus being in a relationship, and many other, unique topics. And this month is no different compared to previous Februaries in past years. But today I'm going to start off with a topic that is going to be pretty hardcore, okay? Well, I wouldn't say it's hardcore, but it's going to probably make a few people uncomfortable, but I think it's much needed. And for anybody that knows me personally, I'm the type of person where I like to talk about things and get the hard stuff out the way first. Sometimes people are like, nah, worry about the hard stuff later. Nah, let's tackle the difficult stuff now, and then we can do the lighthearted stuff later. So this is going to be a bit of a difficult topic to speak on, but I think it's very much needed. It's called the dark horse of dating. And you know what the dark horse of dating is, and who the dark horse of dating is? I'm gonna say it's the fellas. All right, now let me address what the term dark horse means. And oftentimes when you talk about the dark horse, it's often used in sports and other competitive like events, where it's pretty much the underdog, the one that nobody sees coming from anywhere, and that's the team that, or the individual that you got to worry about. So for example, if you're watching football, you might say, listen, the 49ers, which at this current time, technically, by the time you're watching this video, well, probably not by the time you watch this video, because by the time you watch this, it'll be determined if we beat the Rams or not, which, by the way, go Niners. But a lot of people have considered us the dark horse of the playoffs, because nobody was expecting us to really make it and get as far as we have been doing. So, but this dark horse is a bit different. The dark horse that I'm talking about today more so refers to the one that gets overlooked often, okay? And fellas, this video is for you. So if you know any fellas that might need to see this as well, please feel free to share it. Ladies, this is not for you, but definitely stay tuned and look, because there are things that you might notice. And share this video with any guys that you know what I'm saying? Because I think this is important information. Now, before I get started officially with this, let me just make this disclaimer. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to say that dating is not hard for women and men, because let's be real, dating is. It is. But I think there's, I see a lot of videos on social media and even YouTube that kind of cater to the women in terms of, dating is hard for us and we go through this and we go through that. We don't really see enough videos for how hard it is for men. We're starting to see a lot more compared to what we used to, but that's neither here or there. Here we're going to address what's going on, right? So the reason why I say the dark horse for men is because, so as I mentioned before, both sides, men and women, have a hard time dating. Men, contrary to popular belief, actually have it harder when it comes to dating than women do, depending on the time period, right? So women typically have an easier time dating between the ages of 18 through about 30. Sometimes 35 if they really take good care of themselves. Why is that the case? It's something we like to call prime. When people are at their prime. What does prime mean? Is when people are at their their best. They're probably their most attractive. A good chance that they may be the most physically active, and so on and so forth. Now, that doesn't mean that some of these things won't remain the same as the years go on, if once again you take care of yourself. But that's typically what it is for women. Between 18 to 30, about 35 if a woman really takes good care of herself, right? For men, we don't quite reach our prime until we're in our 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And it's for a number of reasons. Obviously, the number one reason is just the fact that men and women develop differently. So what you do during that prime is extremely important. You have the ability to take advantage of what you desire. I'm not talking about just in dating. I'm talking about in general when you're in prime mode. And that's one of the reasons why, you'll hear a lot of older women who, kind of push their prime years to the side to do whatever. And they get older and they're like, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have gotten married when I was younger and stuff like that. Because it's not impossible when you get older, but it does become a bit harder. Okay. Now, the reason why I say the dark horse is men in terms of dating is not just because of that, but it's because legit, we really do have a harder time dating than women do. And if you don't believe me, I'll give you a really good example right here. Dating apps, right? Now, I've used dating apps before, and I've been mildly successful on them. I'm not going to say I've been full-blown successful, but I've had a couple of dates from dating apps. I don't use them anymore because I just think that they're pointless at this point for me. If I want to meet a woman and go out with her, I have different ways of doing that as opposed to dating apps. But go on a website like Tinder, right? And ladies, I want you to do this as well. But if you go on Tinder and you're looking for a match to potentially have a date, right? It's almost guaranteed that a woman is going to have way more matches than a man does, right? Yet, interestingly enough, in most areas when it comes to dating sites, there are more women on the dating apps than men are. So wouldn't you find that strange, right? Don't you think that because there are more women than men, that men would probably get more matches? Yeah, logically you would think that. But here's the reality. That's not the case. And to add to another point, when it comes to dating apps, people use dating apps for different reasons. Sometimes people use it for hooking up. Sometimes people use it for a serious relationship. Sometimes people just use it for the heck of it and they just do it for fun. But ladies, here's something to think about, right? It is very easy for you to match with a guy. Now, I'm not saying you're going to match with quality guys. I'm put that out there right now. But it's very easy for you to match with a guy, no matter what he wants, compared to us matching with a woman. For every 10 to 15 matches you get, we might get one or two, if that. And that's if you're on like the premium plan or something. I mean, but even to get out of the dating apps, when we're talking about real life, there's so many things that men have to look out for. And again, when I say all this, I'm not ignoring the fact that women do have issues when it comes to dating, because they do. So I want to make sure that's perfectly clear. And some of those issues, I'm going to be honest, fellas, we got to talk about more openly, which I will do that for another video. But there are certain things as men we have to watch out for. So I guess I'll start with number one. We kind of have to walk on eggshells in terms of what we do and how we go about doing it when it comes to women. And here's what I mean by that. We have to watch what we say and watch what we do, especially from a physical standpoint. Now, somebody may argue, well, Marcus, everybody has to do that to some extent, right? Yeah, but men have to do that a little more carefully. They have to tread lightly. And here's why I say that. When it comes to matters of those things, especially when it involves the physical, if something goes wrong, men are guilty until proven innocent. Just in case you didn't know that. And there are definitely some people out here who don't know how to take no for an answer. They don't know how to keep their hands to themselves. And they don't know how to take the hint. I'm definitely in agreement with that. There are some men out here that are definitely like that. But there are also a lot of men that are out here that have been lied on about, oh, he did this to me, he did that to me, and he really didn't do anything at all. And then next thing you know, that guy's in trouble. And he's gone to jail for umpteenth many years over something that he didn't even do. We've heard plenty of stories. I'm pretty sure, fellas, that you know somebody who may have been in that type of situation. So it's like we got to tread lightly when it comes to that, right? Also, I think dating is harder for men in a sense because It's really hard oftentimes for men to truly be their truest of selves, especially when you have a man who is emotionally balanced and is able to be vulnerable. I'll include myself in that category. I am definitely in tune with my emotional side. I'm definitely in tune with having balance. I have a balance between, I know when I need to be masculine and I know when I need to be in tune with my emotions and be vulnerable for other people, emotionally available. That's what I'm looking for other people who may need me, right? But unfortunately, in the dating scene, especially nowadays, with modern day women especially, it's looked down upon. It's like as soon as you show a hint of emotion, they turn it down. Now, ladies, this is the interesting thing, and I'm not saying it's all ladies, obviously. There's always exceptions to the rule, and to put everybody in the category is not fair, you know? But a lot of women, they'll say, I want a man who expresses himself. I want a man who's in tune with his emotions. I want a man who's emotionally available, who will be able to express himself to me. But as soon as he does that, it's a turnoff for you. It's like, oh, well, I didn't want you to show that much emotion. Or, no, that's too much. Quit being a punk. You a man up. And stuff like that. So that's why it's so hard for men to be emotionally vulnerable in front of women. Because we'll look at it like, well, dang, you wanted this. But then you said otherwise. Which, let me reverse that. I'm not reverse it, but add that to another reason why dating is difficult for men. Ladies, and please don't think I'm attacking you, ladies. I'm just dropping knowledge, and I hope that you receive it with love, okay? When we tell y'all we want something, 9.5 times out of 10, it's exactly what it is, okay? If I say I want a woman who's going to be respectful, who's going to be loyal, and who will support my endeavors, I really mean that. That's exactly what I want. It's no ifs, ands, or buts or in between, right? But when y'all say something, some of y'all, not all y'all, say something that you want, it's literally the opposite of what you want. I want somebody that's going to be emotionally available, but you would prefer somebody that's emotionally unavailable, even if you don't outright say it. Now, I know some of y'all in the comments are probably going to be thinking, well, that's immature women. And I agree with you to some extent. That's definitely an immature woman, because I think more mature women will be in line to think more logically about that. But here's the reality. When it comes to modern day dating, that's what it is. Okay? It's very difficult, because it's like we want to be open to y'all, but we know the second that we are, it becomes an issue. Just like when it comes to pursuing and dating, we want to be upfront and intentional and let you know that you're the woman that we want to be with. But we understand that we have to play the long game. And as soon as we mention anything about dating, not all the time, but in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, I don't want this, I'm out. And it's weird, because as men, I want everybody, and men included that are watching this, to understand that we are hunters. We are natural born pursuers. So when we desire something, we go out and get it if the conditions are right. Okay? Or if we feel like the conditions are right. It may not always be right. And the reality of it is, it's like we kind of have to play the waiting game when it comes to dating. We have to wait for y'all to bring it up. Like, hey, so what are we? Why should we have to do that? As opposed to just telling you and you being like, yeah. Now, I know some people will say, well, if a woman is really interested in you, then she'll be okay with it. And I agree to some extent, but the other part of me is like, no, that's not the case, based on my experiences and based on people I know's experiences. There's a double standard often. Now, the double standard part that I'm going to talk about, this is an issue with both men and women, okay? But I'm just going to talk about the men right now, because, again, I'm talking about the fellas. There's a double standard when it comes to, what's what I'm looking for? Not perception, preferences, right? Everybody has a right to have their own preferences. I don't want to date somebody that's too skinny. I don't want to date somebody that's too fat. I want to date black women. I want to date biracial women. Okay, if that's your preference, cool, fine. Fellas, for just, a quick little side note, your preference is cool, but just make sure you're not shamming other people in the process. Okay, let me just make that perfectly clear. But as far as the shamming, speaking of which, it's interesting because when it comes to men, right, or when it comes to women, if a woman is overweight, she will, her girls will pump her up and say, girl, you look good and this and that. And if a man comes and say, hey, I'm concerned about your weight, sometimes, not all the time, there are some women that will take it with grace and, be like, well, what can I do? But there are some others that will be like, I'm not fat. Take me for who I am. Accept me for who I am. I'm just thick. Sis, with all due respect, you're not thick. You're overweight. I'm sorry. Okay? I don't say that to be rude, but I say that so that way you can see the problem, right? But if you reverse it, a woman says, well, I'm not going to date a fat guy. But then the problem that comes into play is you say all these things, but you're not working towards the man that you really want. Like you say, I want a man who's making six figures, who's in shape and this and that, but then you're not working to get to that point. At least the in shape part. So it's a double standard when it comes to that. And yes, again, there are double standards that are geared towards women as well, which I'm going to address in a video later this month, okay? The whole point that I'm making is this. And ladies, once again, I don't want you to think that I'm ragdogging on y'all. I'm not. But I'm telling you the difficulties of dating when it comes to men, okay? Men really do have it a lot harder dating when it comes to women. I mean, compared to women, I'm sorry. And there are some women out there that acknowledge that and they understand. And there are others that are just like, no, it's not going to happen. But even if you don't acknowledge that, the fact of the matter is, a fact is still a fact. This isn't something that's opinionated on what I'm saying. This has been proven by scientific evidence. This has been proven by many case studies. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard out here for us fellas. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I tell all my fellas who are in a serious relationship or you're married and they making it work, hey, don't you go nowhere. You got a special woman. Because let me tell you something. It ain't nothing out here in the streets. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are good people out here. They're both good men and good women, but they are definitely difficult to come by. So that's my spiel. That's why, some of the reasons I believe that it's a dark horse. We are the dark horse of dating in a bad way. How could that be fixed? I think just by bringing more awareness. And I think slowly but surely that's starting to be known. Men are starting to pick up on what they can do to make, dating better for them, which I'll talk about in a whole nother video as well. And I think women are starting to realize, wow, men really do have their issues just like we do, And at the end of the day, I think dating can be made a whole lot better overall for both men and women if we just take time to listen to each other, to really see what's wrong, what's good, and try to come up with solutions and learn, you know what I'm saying? And really also be more from a standpoint of seeing where other people come from. You know what I'm saying? And also accountability. A big part of it is definitely accountability. So, you hold yourself accountable, you'll be in good shape. When you don't hold yourself accountable, that's when it kind of becomes an issue. You know what I'm saying? So that wraps it up for this video. I do apologize. This video was a lot longer than I expected it to be. But I really hope that you guys understand what I'm talking about and you understood the message and that this helped. Again, this video was not meant to put anyone in a specific category in the wrong manner. It's just for, educational purposes and to make sure that, we understand and, that people understand in general that it's really hard out here for dating when it comes to men. Okay? So again, Marcus Frazier, Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. I thank you for joining me so much. I can't wait to see you guys. Till next time, remember, I'm starting my collaboration videos this month. This has nothing to do with the love series. This is just videos in general. I'll try to give an update of when the video is coming out. So be on the lookout for that. You'll see a premiere, of course, and we'll go from there. And we'll get into our next topic very soon. Much love. Peace.